Hello, and welcome to the Mr. Monster YouTube channel. I'm Mr. Monster. All stories set on this channel are owned and created by me. Please enjoy. The Cat. Sarah's shoes clicked on the sidewalk as she walked into her home in the country. The house was a simple log cabin entirely surrounded by forest. Her closest neighbor was 10 miles down the road. The neighbor was a kind young man and his wife who owned a massive St. Bernard. Since she retired her career as a franchise business owner, Sarah has not had many opportunities to dress up. Today, however, she was in a modest navy blue dress with her navy blue high heels on her feet. Being 60 years old had some perks, but keeping balance in high heels was not one of them. Life was simple out here in the middle of nowhere. No one was around to bother her about the cleanliness of her house, and no one was there to care when she didn't get out of bed until late in the morning. She did miss having company, though. Sarah's deceased wife, Megan, had been gone for 5 years now. Megan was 3 years Sarah's senior. Pancreatic cancer had taken Megan away from Sarah. She missed Megan endlessly and thought about her every day. Together they raised 2 adopted children, 1 boy and 1 girl. But her children are now in the stage of their lives that they barely have time to themselves, let alone to come visit their mother. There was once a companion Sarah had, though. The companion was a cat she called Whisper. She did not own Whisper. Instead, she only fed him on occasion and put out water for him. The cat was feral, but overall sweet to Sarah. She typically only saw him once a week. Oddly enough, it always fell on a Tuesday. Today was a Tuesday. A little tired from the meet and greet in town, Sarah was ready to go get in and get to bed. As per usual, Sarah went to the back door, put out a bowl of water and some canned food. She expected to see Whisper the cat, but he was not there. This struck her as odd simply because the cat was always there on the back porch after the sun went down. Now that Sarah thought about it, the cat was always at her door at 10 p.m. The cat was always at the back door Tuesdays at 10 p.m. The realization of the exactness of the time sent shivers down Sarah's spine. She was never one to believe in any omens or superstitions, but her wife was. Megan believed that there was often a message in certain things. Those things Sarah always chalked up to be coincidence. Once, a black cat had crossed their path when they were on a walk. Later that day, Sarah's father had passed away in the hospital. Megan took the incident as a sign. Sarah, however, thought otherwise. Sarah's father had been in the hospital for a week. She had already suspected the worst as he was 90 years old at the time. The passing of her father was simply a coincidence. But there was something Megan always said that Sarah never thought twice about. Megan always said you should never go looking for a black cat after midnight. What exactly that meant was up for interpretation. Sarah always took it as a metaphor. Someone should never go looking for trouble in the night. The similarities between the saying and what was actually happening did set Sarah a tad uneasy. Whisper the cat was a black cat, but Sarah would never go looking for it. The cat was feral. After all, the last thing she needed was to accidentally scare the cat and get a nice scratch or bite for it. Still, the absence of Whisper did concern her. Whisper was one thing she looked forward to every week, and Sarah did not need more loss in her life. Sarah's phone rang, and she picked it up to answer. The call came up as unknown, so she just put it up to her ear and said, "Hello?" "Sarah, please help me. Please, dear God, help me." Sarah froze. She could recognize that voice even if she had early onset mental decay. It was Megan. The voice started up again. "Sarah, find me. Find me in the forest. I'm lost. And someone's been chasing me with a knife. Sarah, please, hurry." How was this possible? Megan had been dead for 5 years. Sarah watched her get buried. Yet this was her voice on the phone. After a deep, shaky breath, Sarah spoke. "Megan?" She could only get out her name. The name she had not said for months, for it was too painful to speak. "Yes, yes, this is Megan. Please come find me in the forest. The man with the knife is right behind me. Help!" The line went dead. Sarah stood there in their kitchen, unable to even move a single finger. How could Megan be alive? Sarah was there when her wife was buried. She watched Megan's oak casket get covered in dirt. Better yet, if Megan was alive, what the hell was she doing in the forest? A dog appeared in the doorway on the back porch. It was the neighbor's dog, the massive 220-pound St. Bernard. The dog sat, looked at her, and whimpered. What on earth are you doing here? The dog continued to stare, now silent. I'm sorry, pal. I'll get you home as soon as I find whoever just called me in the woods. The dog stared right into her eyes and shook its head. It was not a threat, Sarah saw, but a warning. The dog whimpered once more. Well, this is just great. Sarah, you've lost it. First you imagine a phone call from your dead wife, and now a dog is warning you, she said to herself. Sarah checked her recent calls to see if the call had actually happened. It had. Unknown was displayed right there at the timestamp of 10:33. Just then, another call came in. It was her son. She answered. Before Sarah could even get a word out, a monotone voice, not her son's, spoke. Don't go searching for a black cat after midnight. The line went dead. Okay, what the hell is going on here? Did someone hack my phone somehow? Even so, how did they have her voice on that other call? After a moment of Sarah and the dog staring at one another, she spoke. I have to figure out what's going on, and I'll have to get you home after. The dog simply shook its head slowly, with the same warning look as before. Well, I have to do something, don't I? The dog whimpered and shook its massive head yet again. Behind the dog she saw Whisper, the cat. Whisper beckoned with its head to follow. The huge dog turned and growled at the cat. Sarah knew the cat could lead her to where she needed to go. Somehow Sarah knew the cat could lead her to where she needed to go. Sarah looked at the St. Bernard and said, I'm sorry, pal, but I have to follow the cat if it knows where that person is, whether it's her or not, doesn't matter. That person needs help. For a second, Sarah thought she saw the cat grin. She assumed it must have been a trick of the light. Sarah looked at her phone once again to see if this was all really happening, and the recent calls only showed the unknown number. The list said her son's phone number had never actually called her. Sarah assumed the stress of this incident is the reason for imagining the second phone call. The time on her phone stood out to her at 11:51 p.m. How was this possible? It had only been a few minutes since her first phone call, hadn't it? She spoke to herself. Well, no time to ponder. I have to get out there. The dog cried once more, but after she had left her property line following the cat, the dog ducked its head and ran back towards its owner's house. The forest was dark, but the full moon overhead helped in terms of visibility. Sarah had forgotten all about the fact that she was wearing high heels, and, after tripping twice, decided to throw the shoes off and continue barefoot. Whisper the cat was doing a run that was just fast enough for the 60-year-old woman to keep up with, despite the protest from her lungs and heart. Sarah thought about what she might expect to find. Could it actually be her beautiful brown-eyed wife? Who would be waiting for her in this forest? Would she even find anyone? All the questions faded from her mind as the cat slowly turned to a walk. A short moment later, the cat turned around and sat down, looking at Sarah expectantly. What? This is it? Sarah said, looking around baffled. There's no one here. Sarah was standing in a seemingly random clearing. No trees, merely the moonlight shining down from above onto her. She regarded the cat once more. There was no doubt this time. The cat was smiling. Megan's voice sounded from behind the cat. Or was it the cat itself speaking? You should have listened to the dog, Sarah. The voice changed to a raspy one. Don't you know any better than to wander into the woods all alone? Sarah was completely frozen with fright, not even able to breathe. Then she saw what was speaking. A large creature with multiple legs, almost like a spider, came out from the trees. It had no face, no characteristics of any kind, really. The creature was simply pitch black. All light was absorbed by its body, leaving it looking like a shadow of overlapping limbs. The darkness slowly disappeared from its flesh to reveal what it actually was. The main body was heads, human heads, all slightly decaying. The limbs were a bizarre combination of legs and arms. There must have been at least 20-something different limbs coming from it. What on heaven and earth? Sarah whispered. The creature spoke from all the heads on the body, leaving a terrifying vibration in the air. Join us, Sarah. We need you. We need more flesh to survive. Join us. The cat jumped for her neck. She dodged at the last possible second. Sarah, broken from her prison of being frozen, turned and sprinted in the direction of her home, the cat and the creature following behind her. Join us. The heads spoke once more. What in the hell is going on? The creature was jumping from limb to limb, thrashing as it came closer. Right before Sarah thought she could continue no longer, the dog from earlier appeared and grabbed the cat in its mouth, throwing it to the side. Sarah stopped, doubled over in pain from the intensity of the run. The creature landed before her. Then the massive beast of a dog jumped in between Sarah and the creature, barking a booming, deep bark that rattled Sarah's bones. You cannot protect her. We will succeed. She will join us. The bizarre mass of body parts spoke. The dog, more than capable of carrying 100 pounds on its back, scooped up Sarah. Sarah was only 90 pounds, which made the dog's objective a lot easier. The St. Bernard bolted toward Sarah's home, with her holding on to its back for dear life. She could see the house now. Closer, closer, closer. Boom! The mass of body parts jumped over them right before the property line. The cat, in one of its arms, licking a wound. The dog did not hesitate. He stutter-stepped to the side and made it past the property line. The monstrous creature screamed out in all of its many voices. For some unknown reason, the beast could not pass the property line of the house. Whisper leaped from one of the arms and jumped for Sarah as she stood up from the dirt. The dog jumped and grabbed the cat in its massive jowls. Again, the dog shook its head and let the cat go, sending Whisper flying into the woods with a snarl. For a moment, the dog and Sarah simply stared at the creature, which was furiously screaming and shifting in anger. No! We need more life. Join us. Why? Why me? Sarah uttered in confusion. Megan's voice sounded all alone once more. Who would notice one old lady living alone going missing in the woods? The cat jumped onto the creature, clearly wounded more severely this time, and seeking comfort. An arm grabbed it and held it. After a while of studying the creature, Sarah saw Megan's face was nowhere to be found. Somehow the creature was recreating Megan's voice, however. The St. Bernard nudged Sarah's hand and began to lead her into the house. Screams in the voice of Megan rang out, begging and pleading for Sarah to turn around and join them. Once inside, the dog lay down in the kitchen and fell asleep. Sarah, not wanting to be alone, sat with the dog and patted its back. Thank you, she said quietly to him. Eventually, the screams stopped, coming from outside. Sarah considered calling the police. She ultimately decided against it, however. If she called the police, then she would be sent to the baloney bin for sure. Sarah would not sleep for the night, or for the next few nights for that matter. From this point on, at 9 p.m. every night, she checks all the doors and all the windows to ensure that the cat cannot come in. And every Tuesday night, just like before, Whisper shows up at the back door and pleads to come in. The only difference is every time the cat showed up, it was grinning its terrifying grin. The day after the incident, Sarah took the St. Bernard to her home. The day after the incident, Sarah took the St. Bernard to its owner's home down the road in her truck. However, one thing threw Sarah for a loop. The St. Bernard was not theirs. Baffled, Sarah asked, "Not yours? Does anyone else around here own a St. Bernard?" The kind young man and his wife looked at each other and back to Sarah. Then he spoke with his brow furrowed in confusion. "No, I don't think so. Everyone around here either owns mutts or hunting dogs." Then the wife spoke. "You ought to keep him if you can't find the owner. There is something special about that type of dog, all right. I swear one night ours tried to protect us from a bear. Wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen it myself, though." The husband now spoke. "Well, we aren't sure that it was a bear, but we went for a late-night stroll a while ago, and a big black beast, indistinguishable on account of the darkness, started to chase us through the woods. George here," he patted the big dog's head, "attacked it so we could escape. He broke his leg in the process, but it didn't take him too long to recover from that." "What a story," Sarah said, thinking of the night before. The man looked down in an odd sort of way. "Is everything all right?" Sarah asked, genuinely concerned. "Yes," the wife said. "Well, we thought we had heard our old friend Mark calling us to the woods when we were in bed that night. We both heard it, beckoning us outside." "Did you go looking for him?" Sarah asked. The man picked up his head. "No, you see, Mark has been dead for about 10 years now. Drunk driver ran up to a sidewalk, killed him instantly." "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that." Yes, well, regardless of if we wanted to go looking or not, George wouldn't even let us leave our bedroom. He got up on his wobbly leg and blocked the door every time one of us was awoken by the voice," the man stated. "They say dogs can sense danger. Sounds silly, considering a dog will try to fight a porcupine given the chance, but in that instant it was not so silly. It's like he knew something we didn't, and neither of us was eager to figure out what that something was." "I had something very similar happen last night," Sarah started and then decided to leave out the crazy-sounding things from it. "I thought I heard my dead wife, and the St. Bernard showed up and stopped me from going towards it." She lied. She figured it was close enough to the truth. Sarah said goodbye to the couple and went back to the truck with the massive dog. Once the dog and she were back in the truck, Sarah inspected the dog's name tag. It had no name. It had no phone number or email address. The dog's name tag on the front simply said, "Don't go looking for a black cat after midnight." I hope you enjoyed this video of my story, The Cat. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more horror short stories and possible other genres of short stories in the future. And if you would like to comment what type of short story you would like me to say next, I'm open to opportunities. Thank you and have a good day.